Welcome to the Bomba Pod. I'm your host, Martin Bomba, and each week we bring you meaningful conversations with guests who uplift, inspire, and encourage you to become the very best version of yourself. Whether you're chasing a dream, building something new, or just looking for a spark of motivation, you're in the right place. Produced by Dennis Ayotte and proudly supported by Window World and PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. Let's grow together. Let's be inspired. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's Martin Bomba and welcome to the Bomba Pod. We are going to be talking with a great guest today. I can't say San Antonio native because he's not. We'll get into that. But he has been here forever, so he's one of our own. He is also one of the most important guys when it comes to one of the most important events that San Antonio hosts every year, the Valero Alamo Bowl. So we welcome the VP of Marketing and Communications, Mr. Rick Hill.
Hello, how you doing, Martin?
Brother, I'm doing great.
I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could.
Like that, yeah. So where was home? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Philadelphia, but after 2 years, we moved to St. Louis. So that is my hometown. That's where I went to high school. That's where I ate my body weight in toasted raviolis every weekend. And a great place to grow up.
So you guys are responsible for toasted ravioli. That's a thing, right?
That's our niche. I remember when Southwestern Bell moved down here, they welcomed them with billboards as saying, we got tacos and toasted raviolis. So if you can get both, that's good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, feel free to drop some comments on where some good toasted ravs place are in San Antonio. I haven't found it
There
yet.
used to be a really good one. Brennan's. When Brennan's was open here, they had the best toasted ravioli.
Okay.
So good, but they closed down several years ago.
I keep looking.
New Orleans. Got to go to New Orleans for it now.
New Orleans. All right. Mighty good.
Yeah. So speaking of food, and we'll get into football here in just a second, but food in St. Louis and San Antonio, barbecue, the never-ending debate about barbecue.
Yeah, I don't mind the St. Louis has got more of a sweet sauce, but when you're down here, I moved down here for college in '87, so I'm pretty much Texan, and most of my barbecue friends don't like sauce, so I've kind of sworn off the sauce. I'll go Texas barbecue, spices and rubs, and
yeah, man,
and
so they baste while they're cooking it.
Yeah, but the local product was called Malls, and it's like you don't baste your barbecue, you maul it. So that jingle for someone who puts out some ads, that's a jingle that probably I haven't heard live for 30 years, but I probably say it 20 times a year. Yeah. But
that's a good jingle.
That is a good jingle. But I'd rather spice and rub it now than maul it.
Yeah, me too. Can you say that? Okay.
It's a family name. So I think it was Louis Mall.
I like them both. I'm with you. When it comes to ribs, St. Louis style ribs are great. They have no idea what brisket is, though.
No, brisket seems to be pretty localized to Texas.
I think it is.
Even some friends from North Carolina were in last week, and they were like, "Can we get some more brisket?" Because it's just something they can do, the pulled pork and the vinegar base, but no one else does brisket.
Yeah,
like Texas.
You can't find it anywhere else. If you find a place outside of here that says they have brisket or Texas-style barbecue, chances are really good it's a transplant. Somebody that moved from here and started the thing up there. But so you came to San Antonio from St. Louis in 1987, attended Trinity.
Correct.
Yeah, great university.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I did I played tennis and baseball, so I had 3 days off, so I visited 5 universities. I flew down nonstop 2 hours on TWA, and it was Fiesta Week. And I was like, ooh, and the other places I visit were raining or hard to get to. And I'm like, this is for me. Trinity overlooks downtown, great teacher to student ratio, just an unbelievable campus, and it was the best decision of my life.
Yeah, man. It's I hear I have a cousin who graduated Trinity in probably a couple of years before you got there. Or maybe he was even there when you were there in his later years, but he loved it. I've never heard a bad word about it, and I hear it's a pretty good place to meet a wife.
Yes, it's good. It's good to meet wife, and my wife actually works there still.
Still working there.
Yeah, so she's their director of corporate development. So it is great to have that connection. I'm there in the spring as an adjunct professor teaching sports marketing. So, yeah, to be on campus, student success. As you get older, you want to have legacy and you want to help pull people up. I mean, that's kind of how I kind of measure my success, is how much I can help other people.
Absolutely.
So the fact that I can impact students, and every day we're kind of game planning. Okay, we have this student that's studying this and wants to get in here. Who do we know? So it's a really cool thing that my wife and I can do.
And you with your marketing background and she with what she does, I mean, you guys spend a lot of time still at Trinity. You're an adjunct professor.
Correct.
And shaping lives through marketing classes, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's a sports marketing class, and I'm kind of greedy because it keeps me young, because you don't want to be out of touch as a marketer.
Right.
So to know what's trending, I mean, the amazing thing, like last week I learned they don't even know what networks are. Like I was like, hey, what are the Spurs on ABC? And they're like, what is that?
What?
They just go to streaming platforms, and they have no concept of that. So there's a lot of wake up calls. I mean, I remember just asking, who has cable? That's not even a question I asked. No one has cable.
There was no cable.
No one gets the newspaper.
There's no satellite, no cable, no network. I've found that most young guys and girls, Gen Z or millennials or whatever they are, they say that they don't watch TV at all. Which to
Very
them, I guess
interesting.
streaming is not watching TV. To them, I don't know what that is.
I mean, it seems like everything's very clip based. Like it's not like
yeah.
the Bomba podcast might be their favorite podcast, but they're watching you in 22-second increments.
The reels get much
Yes.
more traction than the full podcast.
Correct.
Because nobody's got that attention span anymore.
I know. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we try to teach concepts that are off the social and just it makes sense. And there's so many good examples in town. Obviously, I was at the Spurs as well, and what a great run. And so it's fun to pull examples and pull guest speakers from the industry in that I can learn from and they can learn from. So yeah, I do like every spring to teach my sports marketing class at Trinity.
Well, let's talk about that trajectory and how you got started in sports marketing and in the sports field in San Antonio. Your first gig was with the San Antonio Missions, wasn't it?
I did a quick job with the Riders football. So I think we're up to maybe 10 minor league football teams now in San Antonio. So I had a tough start with that one. It was called the San Antonio Riders.
I remember the Riders.
I
don't know why, but I remember the Riders.
The quarterback was Jason Garrett, who later, came
That's
under
why.
the Cowboys. Mike Riley was the head coach, one of the nicest coaches in sports, did some Nebraska, Oregon State, and USC. Great guy. And it was a commission only, and I didn't sell very much. So when you don't sell, commission means you don't get paid.
That is correct.
We were playing at Alamo Stadium, and then week number 2, they said they wouldn't let them sell beer there because it's run by the San Antonio Independent School District. They don't
Right.
have beer there. So they're going to play in Bobcat Stadium at Texas State. So I was trying to sell people to drive 45 minutes to minor league football. So that job I was not long for that job, but as I tell my students, sports is the ultimate stair step. I went from that to a year-long job at the Missions baseball, which gave me a little experience with everything. Was a great, really, kickoff to my career.
Did I understand that when you were working for the Missions that you actually slept in the locker room?
At the end, I did. I mean, it was at VJ Keefe, St. Mary's University.
Yeah, back in the day.
So they gave you an apartment as part of the deal for the first 9 months. And then so we'd work. I mean, they were 10-day homestands. So you'd get there at 8, you'd leave at midnight for 10 straight days. And then once the lease ran out, they said, you can stay on, but we're not going to put you in the housing anymore. And I said, well, I haven't found a full-time job. I'd like to stay on for a couple more months. And so, yeah, the VJ Keefe locker room, I lived there for 2 months. I mean, that was no cable. I had TV I could plug in. I think we got KBB only at like 11 p.m. at night. So I could get Star Trek in fuzzy.
Did you have the rabbit ears?
Yeah, we had rabbit ears. There was 12 showers.
Okay. Well, hey, you had plenty of showers.
They all leaked. So I'm an English and history major, so I don't really have a whole lot of tech background, but I took a bunch of towels and I would tie them from the top of the shower heads to the drain. So at least the water would run along the towel into the drain.
I don't think that's what plumbers do.
I would not pay. Yeah, I would make sure to pay after you get my plumbing services, not before. But yeah, it was definitely the bottom. And that actually makes me not feel bad when people start at a low level. I'm like, hey, you know what? I was cleaning restrooms for the Missions. I was painting the home run stripe. I was under the bleachers with 110 degrees doing they don't even do them anymore. I don't think the trays of Cokes where they would basically, it'd melt. It was so hot. It would melt by the time you got out there. Yeah, and it was a little everything. I got to do concession sales, ticket sales, sponsorship. So yeah, a lot of fun memories from time at Missions Baseball.
When you're in minor league sports and you're in small market radio, which I did do, it's kind of the same thing. You got to wear a lot of hats.
Sure.
You don't go in and say, well, I'm going to be this. No, you're this. You're a salesperson. You're a marketing person. You're a program director sometimes, or a music director, and so I think that teaches you how to juggle a lot of things at one time, though, and multitask. I think that it's good for that.
It makes you multitask. It makes you hungry, and you appreciate the journey too. Because yeah, if you were trying to say I went to Trinity and got this awesome degree and I should take over the world, no, you've got to learn everything. I remember my biggest sale was Wyatt's Cafeteria. They had a big billboard out there, and it was we commission. I got my first big check, and I remember hosting the general manager, and we were sitting there and we were talking about it, and I was puffing my chest up, and it started to drizzle, and then we got the all call. Everybody changed. We have to push the tarp on. So I thought I was the big man on campus, and then all of a sudden he sees me out there rolling the tarp. So yeah, it was it humbled you, but it definitely made you hungry.
Absolutely. I think that there's nothing that builds character better than hard work and actually seeing the different aspects of a job and a profession from the inside out. And I think that nowadays, unfortunately, a lot of with the immediate attention span that people have, they want it now, they want it now, they want it now. I think that translates to success in business too.
It gives you credibility, I think, when you do it all. I mean, I'm always try to be cognizant, and a lot of my jobs have been sales related. And salespeople have the rep of just kind of whining and dining and just kind of coming as they please. But yeah, if you put in the time and you put in the hours, and yeah, I think you get the respect from your coworkers.
Yeah, if you do it right. So you moved on after your short stint with the Missions. You moved on to the San Antonio Spurs for a while.
I did. My Trinity connection, Tom James, was my buddy at Trinity, and he's been in PR there for, I guess, now 35 years. And he said, hey, I don't have a full-time job, but come over and I'll give you $5 an hour to proof our media guide. So I went over there and proofed the media guide for a month, and they had an opening, and then I slid into their community relations department.
And how long were you there?
6 years. You can call it the Vinny Del Negro years, the non-championship years. I only have a wedding ring on. I was there for 6 years. There was a lockout in 99. That was the first lockout. And when I started, we had 40 people. Maybe by 99, we were up to 60 or 70. And they're like, hey, if this is a full season lockout, we're going to have to let go of staff.
Oh, no.
So that's when I was like, well, I was working 40 Spurs games. They had minor league hockey. And I was like, hey, this Alamo Bowl, they only work one night a year. That seems they're not in a lockout.
That's a great perception, isn't it?
They're not in a lockout. My meager math background says, let's give this a shot. So yeah, I moved over to the Valero Alamo Bowl in 99. Unfortunately, 4 years later, the Spurs won a title. So I missed out on a title by 4 years. But the 6 years I was there was great. Like I said, when you're so small, I got invited to Pop's house to watch games when he was GM. I mean, it's just stuff that now I think they're over 550 people. It's a lot. It's a
juggernaut now.
It's an unbelievable organization. But yeah, that the one-on-one attention you get with your whole staff, I think, was really cool in those early days.
Man, I can't even imagine now looking at what it transformed into. And there's a lot of people that were in the same boat as you for the last, I don't even know how many years since we've won our last championship, but it looks like might be a run this year.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm real happy for the people that stuck it out, because I think the first playoff series win since 17. So yeah, it's been a minute. You get to expect, and when you look back, they're going to be one of the top 5 franchises across all of sports the last 30 years. So, man, I kind of like, oh my gosh, dude, what did I miss? But it is kind of cool to see.
But you were part of that legacy.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
You can say I was part of that.
It was kind of cool. Yeah, because the David Robinson, Tim was just on the scene when we got there. So yeah, it was a fun time.
Man, nicest Spur you ever met?
David Robinson and Avery are probably the two. I mean, David, for a superstar, whenever you're doing a media hit or some kind of public service announcement, he was dialed in and one hit. He was just one take. And then Avery, he might have needed a couple more takes to do some of his media stuff, but it was always with a big smile and a quality individual.
That's what you remember most about AJ was his smile.
Yeah,
always
shaking his hand, saying 5-0 for David. Yeah, it was it was a fun time. And he hit in that 99 finals run. He hit probably the biggest shot in the championship series. Obviously, Sean with the Memorial Day Miracle. And Sean, who I see occasionally around town, I got to keep him on the list. It was just a great group, guys. And maybe there was, a couple wild cards those first years, but since then, they just got such a group top to bottom. I mean, 1 to 13, just great individuals.
Well, and we are so blessed to have those guys here. One of the, if not the most community-minded organizations that's ever existed in the NBA.
Yeah, no, we pulled up our sleeves, and part of it was our partners wanted to do things to get their name out, so it was just a perfect marriage. Hey, if you were Pizza Hut and you want to get your name out more, let's go out and do a midnight basketball league. And then, we'd organize that. Or back in the day, Diamond Shamrock, there was a clinics all across town. And seeing some of these things and seeing how we could, impact these students. But, yeah, I was in charge of oftentimes getting the letters, all these letters. And it would just – you'd get hundreds. And we weren't quite as sophisticated with how to organize. I would like I'm sure they do a much better job than I did back in the day. But it was an overwhelming – connection to the city, which was fantastic, and they continue it today. It's one of their leading principles.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if they were winning or they were losing. They've always been great corporate citizens, which I think that has endeared them even more to San Antonio. And we've got rabid fans here, and the Valero Alamo Bowl. Let's talk a little bit about you getting there. You were the first director of marketing that they ever had.
Yeah, they kind of started out with Sylvania as a title, or not Sylvania, rather. They started out with Builder Square as a title sponsor.
I remember that well.
So, and when I mentioned Sylvania, they had the benefit of having all their vendors as a part of the game. So, to be profitable as a bowl game, they were started for economic impact. I mean, as you may remember, Christmas to New Year's, the Riverwalk closed. There was 0 people in town. They fixed the Riverwalk, and then finally we're like, hey, we have a new Alamo Dome. We have this Alamo Bowl. It's going to bring a lot of people to town. Can we move that or maybe not make it as long? So luckily they figured out a way not to close the whole river down. And Builder Square was a tremendous first partner because they were San Antonio based. They were trying to be the next Lowe's and Home Depot. And they had, whether it was Werner Ladder or Glidden Payne or Sylvania, they had all these vendors that were like, hey, I want to be involved because it's important to you. And, in turn, you probably will help us out in the store and get maybe some better locations. So they didn't really need to market those first couple of years. And yes, they had to grow the game attendance-wise. But when Builder Square had their problems, then they're like, hey, we got to go out and get all the vendors were connected to Builder Square. So when they went away, we had to kind of...
And your vendors also migrated away.
Went away. So we had to roll up our sleeves and figure out a new plan. And that's why I inadvertently slipped in Sylvania. That vendor actually bubbled up and was our title after Home Depot, or after Builder Square left. And I'm trying to block out all those days of
the turmoil days.
Yeah, because now everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's automatic. You have a full downtown for Christmas. You have $300 a night hotel rooms. I mean, everybody's happy, and I get all the hotels calling me. It's like, when's your game day? Because I need to make my end of the year bonus. But there was hand to mouth. I remember back in the day we had a color printer, and our budgets were tight, so I was like doing the injections with the color ink.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You remember in there?
Yeah, I do.
I was like, we're saving money on toner. People are very recency memory now. It's like, oh, it's always a home run. I was like, no,
it hasn't always been that way. It
hasn't always been that way.
I joke about it whenever people talk about overnight successes. Most people that I know that are successful in whatever their business is, whatever their profession is, their overnight success is a 20-year arc.
Oh, certainly. At least. I mean, if you were familiar with San Antonio's Final Fours, I mean, Taylor Swift was on the BBB stage of a fan fest.
Yeah.
With 800 people watching her, and it's like, oh my gosh, biggest artist ever.
And none of them knew who she was.
Yeah, they all. I mean, even though she started young, there was 5 years where she was working her way up.
Absolutely.
To that. So yeah,
that's pretty much everybody. Listen, we got a lot more to talk about, but I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Rick Hill, VP of Marketing, and I got to get this right, VP of Marketing and Communications with the Valero Alamo Bowl. We're going to talk a lot more Alamo Bowl when we come back, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Bomba Pod.
This is the future team.
Oh yeah, Window World, we've been family owned and operated for 4 generations. We can't wait to see what these little guys do when they take over. Okay, maybe we can wait. I think that's best for everyone.
Want service that's honest? Window World. Service for generations.
These windows are seriously the easiest windows to clean on the market. Just a little bit of this glass cleaner, put it on there.
Window World has been family owned for generations, which means chores aren't just chores, they're part of professional development.
You got this, Layla. It's wax on, wax off.
Needless to say, things are a work in progress. For squeaky clean service you can trust, call Window World. Service for generations. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bomba Pod. My guest today, Rick Hill with the Valero Alamo Bowl, and we are talking the history of the Alamo Bowl and its humble origins. Started out a little bit slow, but boy, did it build.
Yeah, 93 was the first game. 95 was kind of the game where people started calling it our bowl game. It had a really sense of pride. You know, when you have the first couple of years, you have a Washington State or a Baylor team that's, not with a lot of sizzle that year. It was on New Year's Eve. But then that third year, we had Michigan versus A&M and an absolute barn burner game, 22-21. Tom Brady was there, but he was the backup. But there was some.
Can you imagine Tom Brady as a backup?
I would have. Charles Woodson was on that team. He won a Heisman a couple years later. Yeah. So that was when it's like, oh yeah, this thing's here to stay, because we've had some teams come and go with the, we're talking about some of the football teams, and until something gets a little momentum, that year 3 is kind of when we started really getting people excited. Capacity crowd, our best rating to the time, and everybody nationally took notice.
Yeah, I'd say it's got some legs now. I think it's here to stay, probably. The Valero Alamo Bowl has had some pretty memorable moments throughout the years. One of them being the highest attendance in bowl history, 66,000 plus people for the Penn State Texas A&M game. What was that atmosphere like? Well,
it was crazy because obviously Penn State's a brand name. The A&M was the unfortunate year. That was the bonfire year. Oh, so we have a group of our board go out as what we call team selection reps, and everybody thinks it's a joke. You go watch a football game in a different city, and what insight can you give? Well, I was the rep that went to saw the A&M Texas game after the bonfire tragedy, and I have never seen a more point. The midnight yell was amazing. They won a game that they shouldn't have, and then as soon as we had access to them to play Penn State, we just hit the on button and we were done. My counterpart Julie Bacon and I were calling people, can we rent chairs? What do we do? And maybe we probably shouldn't have filled it more than capacity. It's only 65,000, but to put in 1,000, we had folding chairs, bar stools, standing room only. Yeah, that was. But we want everybody to see that game,
and that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the fun thing. I mean, it is interesting because you pick your teams the first Sunday of every December, so you really kind of have an idea. But until the championship game plays or the last game of the season, the rivalry games, you really don't know. And then what the matchup is, you had an A&M team that wanted to really support them, and then playing a team in historical in Penn State. That was as far as an attendance standpoint, that will not be beat.
Well, I think that anytime you have either Texas or A&M in the Alamo Bowl, you're going to have a pretty good attendance, I would think.
Yes, no, and especially if you haven't had them in a while. I mean, I'm a huge Colt McCoy fan, just because if we're talking about title sponsors, there was one year where we didn't have one. We had Sylvania. And then they decided to change. MasterCard came on, was a fantastic title sponsor. You get your revenue from a title sponsor, from your TV partner, from ticket sales. So you really need all 3 buckets. And then MasterCard, we weren't able to elevate as quick as they wanted, so they left us. So 2006, it was one of those struggle years where, like, we don't have a title sponsor. If we have a poorly attended game, we don't know if we can keep going. So it was scary. And then lo and behold, Colt McCoy, as a freshman at Texas, the year after the national championship, they ride the town, and it's our only game without a title sponsor, but that was another sellout game. He threw a 70-yard pass to Jamal Charles to win in the fourth quarter, another one of our epic finishes, and yeah, people, don't remember that. But when I see the videos or I see the highlights and I look in and I don't see a title sponsor before the word Alamo Bowl, I just kind of wince a little bit.
Cringe a little bit.
Yeah, because that if it would have been 1 or 2 years without a title, and other years, yeah, we would not be here.
The title sponsors, I don't think a lot of people realize how much a title sponsor pays for that and how much they contribute to that event.
It gives you a fantastic just stability. Ticket holders go up and down. I mean, you have your core group. We have an unbelievable group that's been there since day one. But if it's a game that they don't get excited about, they're not going to buy at the same level. And then the team travels. Some years that, there could be we have 9 and 10 win teams most year, but some years a 9-win team who thought they were going to be undefeated is not as excited.
Right.
But they give you a tremendous base. That's why I think with Valero they saw the success of 06. They were our partner in the first year in 93, but were a supporting partner. So 07, they jumped up to our title, and they've been here since 07. So I say you have a greater chance of me getting hit by lightning or eaten by a shark than not getting gas at Valero.
Well, and exactly. And speaking of good corporate citizens, Valero is a huge supporter of our city. And what they've done with the Alamo Bowl, of course, is great. I'm proud to say I'm friends with one of the Greheys, and I love them. I love what they do for our city, and what a natural partnership for a totally local.
Yeah, especially when what's the official name, Mission de la Valero for the Alamo. I mean, yeah, it's a perfect tie-in, and Mr. Grehe and his family starting Valero and what they do year in, year out. Yeah, I think we always have to appreciate in this town how many events do we go to and we see that Valero logo pop up on the screen. And, the corporate base is such a big for charities, for the sense of community in our cities. So kudos to Valero and USAA and HEB and all these companies that do more than their fair share for all the events and charities in San Antonio.
Absolutely. Be a different city without them. Let's talk about the 2015 TCU-Oregon game. That one was memorable for a lot of reasons. Tell me about that game.
Well, that's the one where I realized that text messages can drain your battery. We had, as you remember, they had a Heisman quality quarterback, TCU, in Travoin Boykin. But about 3 a.m., my phone started going off because he'd gotten an altercation with the police officer and was being suspended and sent home. TCU is very strict, They give you bus fare home if you're so he was actually, I say, if you want to know how compact San Antonio is, you can go from your hotel to a bar to get booked arraignment to a Greyhound station, all within 3 blocks.
We're efficient.
We're very efficient that way. But it was so I had to get up. We had a FCA breakfast the next morning that Coach Patterson, the TCU head coach, was speaking at. So I thought there'd be a barrage of media wanting to ask about this. So I was escorting him. The media were sleeping in. I should have slept in. But the first question is, who's the backup? And it was Bram Kohlhausen, who had never started a game for TCU before, and they were playing a powerhouse in Oregon with Vernon Adams, who was a fantastic quarterback. So you're going to get a great tune-in because people are like, how's it going to be? But the problem is, if it's a bad game, they're going to tune out. And unfortunately, it started out as a very bad game. It was 31-0 at halftime. But the key play was the quarterback from Oregon actually got hurt. He concussed out, and then
kind of even the playing field.
And then Coach Patterson changes his purple shirt to a black shirt, and Bram Kohlhausen comes back out as the starter, even though I'm sure there was some debate about whether they pull him. And they tied it up 31-31, won 4 straight drives in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable finish. And then 4 overtimes later, we had our most contested game of all time.
Wow. I mean, I don't care who you're for in that contest. A game like that is worth the money.
Yeah, and that was the Spurs schedule always comes out, late in the year, and they can't really be super flexible. But most years they're able to avoid going on our game date. And unfortunately, that was one where they had a game starting after ours. And, so I razzed some of my buddies, hey, what are you doing to us here? And we had some of our friends leave at halftime. And then they said by the time they pulled up to the now Frost Bank Center, they just went to the Sal's and Spurs Club and watched the game on TV and didn't watch Spurs game and they were kicking themselves. And luckily, I don't think we maybe had only one overlap too. But yeah, if I can get a 4 overtime game, I would say Spurs schedule against us every game.
Ooh, every time. Every time. In 2011, this is another memorable time in the Valero Alamo Bowl. I guess at the time it was not. Was it the Valero? Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was Valero
07,
Alamo Bowl.
07.
07. So at that time, Baylor and Washington met up, and I had to look at this twice in my notes to realize I wasn't looking at a basketball score. Total combined score of how much? Do you remember?
I can't add. It's 67-55. What is that? 123
combined points.
Yeah, I think our ad for that one was. I think the final score. I think we said it was 8-7 because it was based on touchdowns.
8-7.
Yeah. So no, that was I love the games when there's maybe not quite the sizzle of the opponents. Like Baylor Washington on the surface of it's like maybe not our highest profile matchup going in, but you had a Heisman winner in RG3, and we saw how much the hype that brings. And he was just such a tremendous ambassador, and he said all the right things. He did all the right things, and people just had to be there. So we sold it out, which was great. And then it delivered on an unbelievably exciting game where if you were a defensive coach, probably not a great night.
I was going
to
to say, at first glance at that score, I thought, was the entire defensive team sick on both sides? What happened
I know
there?
we have an offense and defensive player each game, and I was like, we're gonna give it. But we eventually had somebody who had like 15 tackles, but they were all 22 yards downfield. So
they were to stop a touchdown.
Yeah, and it was our longtime Spurs physician and one of our board members, Dr. David Schmidt. He was like, I left to go to the restroom twice during that game, and I missed touchdowns both times. So it was a fun game, and it was defense optional. And yeah, maybe we don't need that much scoring. I remember the ESPN broadcasters, like I think it was one of a former linebacker, and you could tell he was listening to the tape. He was kind of disgusted with it because his hard-nosed thing is he wants some tackles, he wants some.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, to mix games in like that, and we've had an unbelievable run. I joked it. They're like, how long are you going to stay at the bowl? And I was like, when we have 2 bad games in a row. And I was like, all right, 27 years later, we maybe had 1 or 2 games that weren't exciting. But, yeah, it's been a tremendous run.
I think that the Valero Alamo Bowl has gotten a lot more respect over the last probably 7 or 8 years at least. And it's good to see that. In the time that you've been doing what you've been doing, you've hosted several Heisman Trophy winners, right? Marcus Mariota, Robert Griffin III, Caleb Williams, Charles Woodson. Who was the most memorable guest that you've had?
Good question. We had Travis Hunter probably had the most social following, and that was in this era. Sometimes the Heisman winner doesn't play in the game, but that year all 10 Heisman finalists played in their bowl game, and we were still unsure if he was. And I remember the introductory press conference and Deion Sanders, Coach Prime jump on, and they're like, no, your kids aren't going to play, are they? And he goes, we don't tap out, we tap in. And then all of a sudden, if I look at my phone, ticket sales are going up. So that was a fun one, and just to see the hype around someone. But they were all different. Another one was Eric Crouch from Nebraska, just a super quality guy. Marcus Mariota was a lot more quiet than I thought. But you could tell he had the respect of the team, and he was always deferring to teammates, and he's had a great NFL career. Yeah, but like I said, it's kind of like almost like Forrest Gump. Like every game is like a box of chocolate. It's like there's always a memorable moment. I always thought you could just spin the wheel of my 27 years and it would land on a year, and I could probably come up with something good, memorable about each one.
I guess that probably having Coach Prime in that one was not a detriment. I'm sure that sold some tickets.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, I thought, and we saw The Rock. The Rock was involved with the UFL team that we had. The Brahmas.
That's right.
So he came to town, and whenever my wife's like, I got to go meet, The Rock. So I go. I know that level of celebrity. I think Deion equals The Rock. I mean, it is that crowd. I would hear that he would that people would drive 4 hours just to look over the fence to watch practice at Colorado. It's just, and
he was coaching, not playing.
I know. And I just think from the time he was in, college at Florida State to the Cowboys, everything he'd done has been at such a big level, and then playing the Reds and the 2-way, and
doesn't hurt that he has an infectious personality, does it?
He is ultimately the most quotable person you'll see.
He's very charismatic, and what he did for that program the Colorado program.
Yeah, this is a big year. This is a big year for him. I think he's got a lot of his people in that he recruited, so it's fully his team. So yeah, it's great for college football when Colorado's going well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what the Alamo Bowl does for San Antonio in economic impact. I want to make sure I got this right. $174 million has been donated to higher education over the course of the Valero, over the history of the Valero Alamo, or the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, to universities. So we pay out. The interesting thing about how have we elevated? When we first started this game, we were paying each team $700,000 to come. Come to our game, we'll give you $700,000. Now we give each team $5 million. So that's going to the university, and they all divide it up different ways. So that is one chunk of how we're helping universities. And then, like you said, the importance of a title sponsor. When Valero came on, we said economic impact is great. We talked about downtown was a ghost town. Now it's doing really well. And with Valero, we're getting better teams being more people. But we really want to also, in addition to that annual economic impact, which I think averages about $45 million a year now, we want to do something with scholarships. And Valero said, you know what, we'll write the first $50,000 check. So that first year we gave out 25 scholarships, $2,000 a piece. Well, now in 2026, we're going to give out almost 200 scholarships, $1.2 million. So if you know any high school in San Antonio, there's going to be a Valero Alamo Bowl scholarship winner. Every university has 5 to 10 Valero Alamo Bowl scholarship winners. We have had ones that have been interns and volunteers and brothers, and I don't think we've had 27. So we probably haven't had any mother daughter yet. But it's just amazing the impact. And the Dome hosts a lot of high school graduations, and I love walking out there and hearing the pomp and circumstance music. But I love hearing them introduced. Hey, so and so, a Valero Alamo Bowl scholarship winner. It's got like a nice stamp of approval on it. So to do almost 200 every year, from starting with a $50,000 donation to $1.2 million is tremendous growth. And Valero was the kind of the impetus to get that started. But now so many of our partners want to tie into that as well. Whether HEB brings them all for a luncheon, Frost Bank pays for them to come to the game. Everybody kind of chips in and grows that number.
That is an amazing growth in the giving aspect. Over the years, $1.2 billion has been the economic impact on San Antonio. That's with a B. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think they came out with the Dome's number was about $4.5 million a couple years ago, or $4.5 billion. So a quarter of it was just our game, and the Grand Slams obviously are Final Fours. But they were coming every 8 to 10 years. Hopefully they return. But the fact that it's year in, year out, average of lately $45 million impact. And like I said, people call like, please tell me your game date. I need to know, because we announced now it's in June, so we don't. But yeah, the end of the last week of December is one of fervent activity,
Yeah.
and it's just awesome to see how much it's grown. And yeah, I wish I had better pictures of when it was. We used to have a Mud King and Queen. Do you remember that competition? It was the worst idea ever.
I do remember that.
Let's celebrate. My apologies to the organizers of it, but let's celebrate the fact that downtown looks awful and it smells and no one is here.
And our river is filled with sludge.
Yes.
That's great.
And kudos to whoever figured out the technology where they could take the sludge out without closing the river.
Yeah.
I mean, that's keep it open as much as you can. And we're happy that it has been so much. But yeah, I mean, I remember last year I went with TCU. We got on a bus and we were just going to the Tobin Center. It took 45 minutes. There were so many people downtown. And I was like, I guess I should have ordered that police escort. But luckily, the TCU, I was doing my little dancing, trying to entertain them, and they didn't realize how long it was, because on the ride back it was 7 minutes. So yeah, I mean, it was just, but it was a testament to how many people are downtown. And
I've
how
only
much,
been down there a few times during that time.
Yes.
It's outrageous.
No,
it's
fun.
just it's the excitement is electric, and it's just, and they're good-natured people. The fans are well-behaved fans. I've never seen anything get really unruly. I mean, you have a big enough crowd, you're always going to have a problem, but nothing bad. It's amazing. Do you think that the city of San Antonio, do you think that our population really understands the impact of the Alamo Bowl?
I don't know. I just want more people downtown. I mean, I think that's what sets our city it's such a differential for us. Every year, all the bowl games get together, and we have a conference. And it's kind of cool to go to Vegas or New Orleans or wherever we've been. But last 2 weeks ago was here. And so we had 40 other bowl games. We had conference leaders. We had everyone here. And we did our meetings during the day. And then we planned riverboat tours. We did a drone show over the Alamo. We did a concert at Pearl Stables. And people are just blown away. Because that was, I mean, the fact that that's a round trip of, like I said, 10 minutes. It's something we can't offer. We had a media person fly in one time, called me panicking. Oh my gosh, I'm so late. I'm 2 hours late. I've got to file this story. I've got to get pictures. I got to check into the hotel, get pictures of the Alamo and the river, and I only have 2 hours to do it. I go, I can get you done in 15 minutes. I mean, because you checked into the Marriott. He walked 2 blocks to the Alamo, and then he walked 2 blocks onto the river. I mean, it's just so different. So you want more people to experience that. Because when somebody says, what's your favorite restaurant or bar? And you go there and there's no one there, it just doesn't feel the same.
No, it does not.
And that's why we need to have, as many activities and things, because as much as San Antonio, you want to help the whole city, there's not much differentiation between far north, west, east, San Antonio than any other city. The downtown is what sets us apart.
It truly is. And that's what everyone talks about whenever they talk about coming to San Antonio. Got to go to the Riverwalk. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the expansion of downtown and some changes on the horizon, hopefully for the better, and get your take on that, okay? We're going to take a little break. When we come back, Rick Hill is going to continue our conversation about the Alamo Bowl as well as downtown sports and all kinds of stuff. Just stick around because there's more to come on the Bomba Pod. Thank you so much to our sponsor, PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. If you want to try the very best small batch roasted coffee that you're going to find anywhere, look no further than PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. 2 great locations to serve you in the San Antonio area at Camp Bullis and I-10 and at 281 and Bulverde Road. You're going to find all your favorites at both locations, from wonderful espressos, macchiatos, you name it, they've got it, as well as some delicious energy drinks, as well as our signature granita. And beignets, yeah, you bet we have them, and they are phenomenal. Be sure to stop by the PJ's closest to you and try any of our wonderful coffees, teas, and pastries. Thanks again to PJ's Coffee of New Orleans for sponsoring the Bomba Pod. Hey, everybody, we're back on the Bomba Pod, and my guest today, Rick Hill. We're talking football. We're talking San Antonio, and we're talking downtown expansion in San Antonio. Some exciting things on the horizon. Rick, you've talked about this kind of being a golden age of San Antonio. I think you've been quoted as saying that, and I don't disagree with you. But what today makes that a reality? Because there have been times in our history, we talked earlier about 11 different minor league football teams that we've had here. From the Gunslingers on up to the Gunslingers now. We never see it work out for whatever reason. Poor turnout. Why do you think that this time is different than what Joe Fowler was pitching for back in the 80s? We want pro ball. Well, we still don't have it. So what is Project Marvel going to do for us?
Like I said earlier, I mean, downtown is so important. I mean, I'm old enough where my first year working at the Spurs was in Hemisphere Arena. And talk about unbelievable times. You'd win the game, you'd walk onto the river and go to Champion Sports Bar.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there was not you'd pregame on the Riverwalk, you'd go to the Spurs game, then you'd celebrate. And you'd park all around downtown, you'd walk. I mean, and I think downtown gets an unfair reputation for not having enough parking. If you're familiar with it, there are plenty of places to park. I try to go to 2 events a week, it seems like, and I'm always finding easy places to park. So I think that's a little misnomer, but I know a lot of my friends in the restaurant business are struggling. But you need to give reasons for people to get out of the house and see the value of doing that, because I think people get in a rut. And as soon as I go to a Majestic show, I'm like, I need to go to more Majestic shows. Yeah, so I think it kind of builds on itself. There's, I know from Pearl to Southtown and everything in between can be so special. I'd be excited to see how we keep developing and getting the Spurs back downtown. I was there. I remember seeing some mock-ups when I went to Spurs where the Riverwalk would actually extend to the base of the arena. I mean, if we would have had the foresight, 25 years ago to do that, how much better would it have been? Because Frostbank Center is fantastic, but it is also, an Uber ride back and forth for a hotel guest, an out-of-towner. When you're in cities, Indianapolis has a real unbelievable footprint. You end up stumbling upon stuff. I was there for convention. Oh my gosh, I walked across. There's AA minor league baseball. Luckily, San Antonio's going to have that in a couple of years here, and I'm going to, instead of going to 3 Missions games a year, I'm going to go to 15.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think it just helps build city pride. And I know sometimes focus on downtown. People want all the parts of San Antonio covered, which is totally justified. But it is everybody's honking down Commerce now. I tried to drive Sunday. I couldn't get through. Everybody was honking. So the whole city, everybody
celebrates.
Yeah, so everybody celebrates, and it does so much for. And maybe it helps bring in. I remember the Toyota plant. The origins of that was they saw all these trucks at a football game, and they have to build the next plant in Texas. Well, perfect. So there's so many benefits where you get the visibility in the showcase, and I think it'll just make it much more special place, and I think it will help the city in whole.
You know what? I couldn't agree more. My wife and I had the opportunity to go to a Cleveland game a few years ago, a Cleveland Cavaliers and Spurs game, and the way that it was laid out, you walk into their area, and you've got Restaurant Row. You've got all these nice upscale restaurants, some faster restaurants too, but a really nice variety of restaurants. You've got bars and entertainment. You've got their arena. Right here, you've got their ballpark. Over here, you've got their football stadium. Right across the way. I mean, you can walk to all of these things. It's all within, not just within walking distance, but convenient walking distance. And that's what we're talking about with Project Marvel and what's going to be happening in the downtown area. And I believe that once that really takes hold, that there will be a revitalization in the downtown area that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I think it'll be super vital around that area. I think the whole west side has so much potential. I know the Mission's new stadium is going to help bring that. And yeah, they're just, the walkability just makes the whole experience better, because you're not just, by the time you make the commitment to leave your house to go to an event, that's kind of when the event starts. So if all you're doing is fighting traffic to go in a parking lot, to watch a game, and then fight traffic to leave, it's just a much different experience than getting there early, relaxing, having a drink, walking over, celebrating with. It's just, I wish a lot of people would have seen what, those early 90s games were like at Hemisphere.
I remember it well. I remember the baseline bums and the atmosphere in there, and Gervin and all of that. Not to mention the umpteen dozen concerts that I went to there, and what a great concert.
What was the
venue
best
it was.
concert? I saw Salt and Pepper there.
Oh,
That's I didn't get to see a whole lot of concerts.
I don't think I ever saw Salt and Pepper.
I saw them at the Dome. I've seen them all the time.
Oh, you're a big fan. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
All
Super
right.
fan.
Best one that I ever saw at the Alamo Dome had to be, my first concert there was Cheap Trick, Aldo Nova, and Axe.
At the Dome or Hemisphere?
At the Hemisphere Arena.
Okay, Hemisphere.
At the Hemisphere Arena. But my favorite show there was probably ZZ Top.
Very
Back
cool.
in their huge blowing up MTV Gods heyday.
Yes.
And they just had a couple of the best shows that I've ever seen there. But I've seen the Scorpions there, and a lot of shows there. Van Halen. Oh, Van Halen has to be right up there. I saw the last Van Halen tour with David Lee Roth, and the first one was Sammy. So
it was loud. I mean, it was great. One of my first jobs was working the truck for NBC Sports, and I did a Bulls Spurs game, and it was the loudest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was in the truck, and the truck was shaking because Jordan just brought so much attention. But there was obviously poles throughout. It was kind of a stadium that was kind of put together. You had to look around a pole sometime. But yeah, being there was something really great, and hopefully we return to that soon.
But as much as I love the Alamo Dome, I don't like it for concerts.
Yeah, I think I go to most events. I like to just from operationally just kind of see the low ceiling is actually better than a lot. Like Jerry World in Dallas, I think it has too high a ceiling. You lose some sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on where you are. And yeah, there's some seats that probably aren't as ideal, but I've sat everywhere. I got to see Bad Bunny and Red Hot Chili Peppers last year, and looking forward to, they have an unbelievable run in September. So I think if you're in the right seat, the right location, the sound is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, where we sat for Billy Joel on his last run through there, great seats. And what I tell people is, if you're going to get tickets in the Alamo Bowl for, in the in the Alamo Dome for optimum listening, midway down, midway forward, best seats.
Yeah, you're looking straight at it, and it's a different environment. I mean, obviously, it's not as compact as the Frostbank Center would be, but there's something about being there with a group. And like I said, I didn't know a whole lot of Bad Bunny songs. Carol G, I didn't know any songs, but just to see the excitement. I don't even know
who Carol G is.
Well, she's coming back, so
okay.
you can see her.
I'll have my chance.
Bad Bunny actually was probably the tightest ticket I've ever seen in Alamo Dome history. There was not resale tickets. There was 0 tickets anywhere. So I bought the last one. Yeah, and now he's on fire. He was moderately on fire, and now he's definitely on fire. But yeah, just people are so excited, to see it. And yes, it's kind of weird to say I was one of 60,000, but there's something special about being that big. If the act is that big and the production value is that big. I remember Metallica. I think I still singed my eyebrows off because they had so much fire. I was like, oh my goodness.
Lots of pyro.
Yeah, lots of pyro.
The one I wish people will ask, what concert do you wish you would have seen or could have seen that you didn't? I wish I would have seen Paul McCartney open it.
Yes, I did not. I was there. I remember. I think they did an open house. It was a Spurs playoff game, and like after they did an open house of the Alamo Dome, we were playing at the Hemisphere, and they saw it. And then the next week was Paul McCartney, and yeah, that is one of the few. I do remember hearing that some people had slept in the restroom trying to sneak in. Because it was the first show. There's so much pent up demand, and I think that's why we're getting so many concerts now. And yeah, truly, look at the September concert in the Alamo Dome. It is an unbelievable schedule. But we used to get passed over. It'd be Dallas, Houston, somewhere else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I think San Antonio's showing up. We do have that demand. I've seen a lot of concerts. Dallas has so many shows. I've seen Nashville actually drop on some of the total sales because they have access to so many different things.
Oh
but
yeah,
it's special when it's here. And maybe 30 years ago, there was really nothing in a month, and maybe there's 10 good things now, but there's still that demand to go see events and see things. And yeah, so the Dome shows have done really well.
Do you think that we're missing a certain size venue for certain touring shows? Because it seems like without an amphitheater, we're missing that one.
Summer. Yeah, the summer's what they call the
summer season
shed schedule, I guess they call is what in the industry. Yeah, I think you miss some of that. But then again, it's 102. I don't really miss sitting.
Good point.
I've aged past that.
The older I get, the more. These are two things that are non-negotiables. I want a place to sit down.
Yes.
And I want it to be relatively cool. Those are the two.
Yeah. So that is not ideal for that. But yeah, there were some great. I remember seeing Gypsy Kings out at the Retamo amphitheater in Verizon back in the day.
That was such a great venue.
It was.
Oh, I saw some good shows out there.
Yes. So yeah, I do have some missing there. But no, I think we'll have a great complement. And I know the rodeo is going to do fantastic things with the Frostbank Center once the Spurs move. They have all these plans. I know the Stockyards in Fort Worth is programmed all year long. So the fact that the rodeo does a fantastic job with their 3 weeks. Now they're unleashed. They can have the whole year.
I know that the rodeo association is just jazzed about that. They can't wait. I've got a lot of friends that are on it, and my daughter is going to be on it next year. So
very cool.
I'm happy for them, but I'm also happy for downtown and what's going to happen down there. If you have somebody coming into town, and you host a lot of people. I mean, you've met a lot of people. You host a lot of people. If you were taking them on a tour of our town and you had 2 days, what are the places that you absolutely would take them to?
You know what? I try to curate what they want to do first, because there is enough in San Antonio where I don't have to force feed them anything.
That's true. Yeah.
I am a little obsessive about biking. They have a rental bike system here that goes south. I ride every weekend down there, so I love the Mission Reach. To see those missions on the south side, I think is fantastic.
Well, you live in such a place that you have pretty easy access to all that. Not everybody's lucky enough to live in the downtown area, and you are. That's awesome. We looked at King William at one time and thought how cool that would have been, but we had kids at home at the time, and you got to have good school to put them in. What off the Riverwalk? If you had one restaurant that you had to take somebody to that said San Antonio, where would it be?
I'm a big fan of Garcia's Mexican restaurant on Fredericksburg and 10.
Yeah.
Brisket plate or enchiladas.
I've heard great things about Garcia's.
I'm always worried about sending somebody because crowd-wise, I want to keep the crowd down. Shh.
Yeah.
But there in Reese's Barbecue, if you haven't been there,
I haven't been to Reese's. Where's Reese's Barbecue?
It's 2 blocks south of the Dome.
Reese's Barbecue.
So it's open Thursday to Sunday. And yeah, that unfortunately good for them. The word's gotten out because we went at 11:30 the other day, and it was a 30-minute wait. Yeah. But no, they deliver. It's a cool spot because they got covered. You can get good sides. You get their unbelievable brisket, great sausage.
I've got to try that because I like good barbecue. I still haven't been to Burnt Bean yet.
I haven't
because
been
of
to
the
that
wait.
one. Yeah, yeah. I need to figure an inside hack for that.
No kidding.
But yeah, no, I think those are my two go-tos. Both obviously focused on barbecue. But yeah, the enchiladas gives you the mix. So at Garcia's, you can get the brisket plate or the enchiladas.
For years, it was Hakala for me.
I remember Hakala.
God, I loved Hakala. And I joked with people. I've been going here since I was born. When I was baptized, they had my baptism party there as a baby, and we celebrated family birthdays and everything. So when they burned and they decided not to reopen, it was kind of heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah, no, I love the places, especially where you see wait staff and that they Los Barrios is like that, Paloma Blanca is like that. You look up and you see been here for 25 years.
Same person.
Yeah, so that is cool. And Hakala was definitely one of those stops where you could have that familiarity.
I just saw a thing on the news this morning about one of the ushers. Maybe you saw it too.
Oh, I
maybe
did see it, yeah.
You probably know about this. Was her name Gladys?
I don't know. I've seen a couple. But yeah, it's the fact that they've done it. I've seen, like, I left the Spurs in '99, and I'll go back to a game and see an usher I recognize.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's a cool, it's how I mean, they could have other jobs, they could be retirees, but how cool is it that they come out and do that?
77, she started there, and
I missed that one. That's crazy.
Since 77, she's been with the Spurs every game. They said up until the time that she just absolutely physically, she 100 years old when she passed. Until she was physically unable to make it to the games, she was there every game.
That's gonna be me though. I need stuff to do. My wife is very worried about post-retirement for me. I need to be active.
You'll find something.
I'll find something.
You'll find something because that's whenever you talk about retirement, what does retirement mean to you? To me, it just means doing what I want when I want and doing more of that. Donating more time, spending more productive time learning how to play the guitar, which I've wanted to do my entire life, things like that. I don't think that retirement means kicking back in your easy chair and watching TV all day.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do that. But yeah, it is interesting. But the giving back, and that's why I love being at Trinity, because like I said, the student success and trying to network and help people. Because yeah, it's a long and winding road to get a career anywhere, in sports especially. We just posted a position and had 800 applicants. I mean, it's unbelievable. Because it is a really cool, atmosphere to work in sports, but it still is a job, and I think you can get the same rush in other jobs, and then you do well in your business, then you can afford to buy tickets whenever you want. That's easier.
Or know somebody who can hook you up. That's even better. It's kind of like we talked about earlier, owning a boat or having a friend with a boat. Which one's better?
Yeah, very much. What is the two happiest days in a boat owner's life is buying, the day they buy and the day they sell?
There's so much truth to that.
Yeah,
so much truth to that. Just a couple more questions before we get out of here. We're running short on time, but everybody's got their handler telling them when it's time to stop. But what is the one game day tradition that you have done since day one that you do every single year?
I used to try to get in there, at 6 a.m., but I realized they sometimes do the guard dogs to sniff, and I had to stand outside the stadium at 5:50 one year, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to get there at 6 anymore. I know we're having a good game when I walk through in the press boxes where I'm usually helping with the media. And you can't root for the team. I mean, you're very you are Switzerland because
Well, you have to be.
There's no cheering in the press box, and one team you're going to be happy for, one you're going to be crushed for. But I really want it to be super competitive at halftime, and we had one of our most competitive games last time, an overtime walk-off game, but it was competitive at halftime, and 80% of the time it's competitive at halftime. But I just walk by my coworker and it's just a fist bump. It's basically like, heck yeah, we're going to do a good viewership. This is what. Because it's kind of out of our control, obviously. We can kind of match up the teams a little bit and have some influence, but the game is the game.
On any given day.
Yeah. But it's just kind of that little wink and that fist bump. It's it's basically like a high five. But we're very cool about it. And we just kind of fist bump.
Well, I hope it's not the Alamo Bowl when I see you again. I hope we see each other again before that.
Sounds good. It's been fun.
Rick, I appreciate you being here. It's been awesome. We'll get you back sometime soon, I hope.
Thank you, Martin.
You're welcome. Hey, Rick Hill, everybody. Thanks for joining us. The Bomba Pod drops every Thursday. Don't miss it. Great show coming up next week, and we'll see you then. Thank you for tuning in to the Bomba Pod. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, post it, and help us spread the inspiration. Special thanks to our producer, Dennis Ayotte, and to our sponsors, Window World and PJ's Coffee of New Orleans, for helping make these conversations possible. I'm Martin Bomba, and remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and your impact starts now. Until next time, go out and spread some kindness. Make the world a better place. The views expressed on this show by the guest or the host may not reflect those of our sponsors.